This is Last Call. My name, Caden Colford. Jake Helton to my left, Landon McQuitty to my right, and I hope you like basketball because we are talking hoops a lot today. But we can't go any further without mentioning the United States and their huge victory over the 51st state in Canada. Just to the north, they lost in overtime to the big dogs. Hoorah, hoorah. Let's hop into hoops. We're talking the circle of life in the basketball world. We're first going to start with some old heads that might see their way out of the league soon, and then follow that up with some of the greatest prospects we've seen in a while at the college level as they enter March Madness here in just a few weeks. Let's talk Cancun. As the NBA season starts to roll to an end, all three of us have assembled a squad of guys that may not be the best on the hardwood anymore, have had some great careers, but might be time to hang it up.
It might be, and I guess we can go ahead and start off with mine. I'm going to go with Nicholas Batum. I feel like just based off of the stats alone, you could write this guy off, but then I watched him play 2 games, and it was just like 0 points versus the Lakers, 0 points yesterday against Orlando. What are you doing? He's out there breathing, and he's barely doing that. He's out there for about 15 minutes per game at this point, and he's averaging less than 4 points per game. This is the 3rd season in a row that he's been below that 5-point-per-game mark, and I just don't understand what you're doing. He has had 15 points in all of February, so that's about 20 or about 10 games or so right in there. He's had 15 total points scored. He's had 3 games all season. Of the 54 games that he's played this year, he's had 3 where he's had double-digit points and only 3 games where he's had more than 5 rebounds. I feel like that's just the basic stuff.
Landon, Nick Batum starting us off strong.
Yeah, you know the age-old question, fourth quarter, why is Batum in? And they continue to ask it. He's not playing very good basketball. You saw him playing in France in the Olympics a couple of years ago. He was the oldest player on that squad, really the locker room guy there. He was old then, and he's just getting older and older. I think he could honestly call it quits at any time. I think that's definitely a very good pick.
And it's not like he wasn't a good player. He was a role player, and he was really good at what he did. His last good season, though, 2018, he was with the Hornets, averaged a little over 10 points per game, or it was about 12 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Since then, it's been straight downhill. He went back to the Clippers. Clippers, they need all the help they can get, and at this point, he's just taking away minutes from guys who can go out and get buckets.
Well, who else are you thinking here, Jake?
I mean, I also think Russell Westbrook, I know one of you guys has him on there. Russell Westbrook probably should have stopped playing about 3 years ago. It's just a Paul Pierce situation. It's not that he's not still providing. He still has that level of competition, that want to go out and win. Sometimes the skill just isn't at that same level, and I feel like that's where we're at with Russell Westbrook.
I'm definitely in the same boat. As for me, Russ is most definitely on my list. I hate to see it. I brought up 4 guys. I feel like all of them have very similar arguments for that trip to Cancun. Starting with Russ, personally, this is my guy. This is my ride or die. I was 12 years old, and Russell Westbrook was my favorite player in the NBA. But now I'm 21, soon to be 22, and I'm watching him fight. I'm watching him play on the Kings, but I cannot watch a guy of this caliber, the triple-double champ, a former MVP, to continue to play on the worst team the NBA has seen in a long time. That's my guy, but same argument goes for DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, he has been great for the NBA. He's been great in the mid-range. He's been a great scorer. He's provided us some great moments, some great highlights. But again, these 2 guys on the Kings, I can't watch it anymore.
The way that I look at it is there are kids who think Kobe Bryant sucks at basketball, which is a crazy thing. If you grew up in the early 2000s, maybe you were born in 2010, something like that, you might have a completely different picture of what Kobe Bryant is, especially if you don't go do a little bit of research. He had that 160-point game at the end of his career. That's kind of what you would say the 2000s kid would know him for, but you look at those last couple of years, yes, he had a horrible team. I will say it was an awful team, absolutely terrible squad, but it kind of makes you look at him in a way where you want him to get out before it gets too bad. Look at Paul Pierce. It was bad when he was in Washington.
And I can't see that. I will not sit and watch Russell Westbrook struggle to move up the floor.
Ooh,
and
Shaq?
There's been a few games where I've said, you know what, maybe we can sit out the fourth quarter. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth. Bradley Beal, moving him. He's the youngest guy on this list, but hip injury ends his season this year. He's going to ride out the rest of his max contract, by the way. He's getting paid like a superstar in this league. He averages 8 points before his injury. And I don't see any other team signing him for anything worth anything. I think Bradley Beal has seen the best of his NBA days. I don't know how much he can return to. And I think that pretty much sums up Bradley Beal. But the big name, obviously, LeBron James. Landon, I want to get your take on where LeBron James stands in the league right now and if retirement should be a now or later thing.
Yeah, he's obviously started the year with an injury. He hasn't been playing many games and was immediately ruled out for any All-NBA teams, any postseason awards that he potentially could have won. And I think it's going to get worse and worse over time. Obviously, he's at 41. We've been asking for years, when are we going to see the drop-off? And I think we are starting to see it. We saw the 10-point streak lasted over a decade, finally ended in a game against the Raptors, ironically, which LeBron had really part ownership over that team for a long time, a lot of people say. So funny enough that the streak ends against them. But I think he can still play meaningful basketball. But the thing is, he is LeBron James. And so he could obviously come into any team in negotiation and say, hey, I want this, I want to be the guy. And if he can accept a lower role, I think he could continue in the NBA. But I think now is definitely the time where we start to question his future in the league.
Here's the thing about LeBron. LeBron is not playing defense right now at all. He was standing under the basket 50% of the game 2 days ago that I watched whenever they played the Clippers. I mean, it was he was the reason why I felt like they were struggling to get over the hump in that game. He wasn't playing good defense, and it seems like that is every game. So if you're LeBron, when LeBron's on the floor by himself, he has a plus minus. I think it's over +7 right now. When he's on the floor with either of the other two, Austin Reeves or Luka, they're in the negative. When Luka and Austin Reeves are on the floor together, they're in the positive. So maybe you can find a good rotation to get LeBron in right now, but them three on the floor or him with either of those two hurts the Lakers more than it helps.
Guys, I can look at LeBron James, and I remember just a few years ago in the Summer Olympics, he was still probably on that stage, top 3 player in the world. On that stage, a top 3 player in the world, both offensively and defensively. But I've seen this before. I watched it with Kobe. This stuff happens fast. When these guys fall off a cliff, they don't just fall, they plummet. They find their way down quick. And LeBron James is not a guy who needs to stick around and prove anything else. He has a record and a scoring record that's probably not going to be touched. I know we said that about Kareem, but really, just thinking about how guys can't come out of high school anymore like LeBron did. They're going to need to come out of their freshman year and then average 25 for 22 seasons. I think that's, a monument in its own right. He doesn't have anything else left to do.
I'd say there's a decent chance that he is done after this year. If you didn't notice, last night or a day ago, he passed 1,600 games played. The number one spot is 1,611 games by Robert Parrish. So I would imagine he's going to play those 11 games, maybe, if they make it into the playoffs. Maybe he'll have to dip into next season to get those. He just has to get the top of every single statistical category. Then he'll maybe think about retiring. Everyone has to sing LeBron's praises, and that's how it's always been. The streak, we just talked about that streak. That is fake as all get out. He would get into games and then take himself out after getting 10 points. Like that's the type of stuff where Mikal Bridges, same thing with his starts thing. He started all the games he's played in or whatever. He goes in for 5 minutes and then he comes out. He goes in for 30 seconds sometimes and comes out. That's not a true record. And LeBron, greatest player, one of the greatest to ever do it, and there is no argument about that. It's 1 and 2 with him and Jordan. I personally have Jordan above him, but you're going to see LeBron retire next year. It's going to happen, and I hate that. For basketball, you're going to see him gone. You're going to see Steph Curry fading away. There's just so many big, iconic faces that almost created basketball or the NBA as it is today that we will no longer see in just a short 2 years.
Father Time unbeaten, but LeBron James has put up a great fight to this point, continues to do so, averaging the mid-20s this season. Lakers soon to be in the playoffs. We'll move to Landon. Who needs to take a trip out of the league and in a hurry, Landon?
Yeah, number one, top of the list for me, honestly, a guy I kind of forgot was in the league until the other day, DeAndre Jordan. Only 3 games played this season, but he did have a pretty good game in his third appearance, had 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, I believe. So made an appearance, but that's about off 4 months of rest, and he's just not a guy that you can look to for a consistent option. And I found a theme with these guys. I didn't even mean to, honestly. It's just the 2010s bigs that are coming to the end of their career. Al Horford, I still feel like is playing meaningful basketball. I still think he can contribute potentially to a contender off of the bench. He just had a huge game against the Nuggets, 20 points, 7 assists, 6 threes. The three-point shooting has really been the big thing for him. He's been able to adapt over time and really translate his game from a post player into a floor spacer with Boston. We saw him win a championship shooting 40% from beyond the arc, but that's started to drop off. He's shooting 33% from beyond the arc this season, and he's averaging only 21 minutes a game. Kevin Love, 17 minutes a game, and on a rebuilding Jazz as well. I just think that these guys don't really have a place in the league anymore.
Al Horford. I hate watching Al Horford play basketball. He was a guy that tore my favorite teams up.
Well, you know, if you caught it in the corner, it was going in. There was no doubt about it. A kick out 3 to him in the corner is as automatic as it gets. I would put my life savings on an Al Horford corner 3. But I will say the one reason I don't mind Kevin Love staying in it is because he's a great locker room presence. If you hear any of his teammates talk about him, everybody on that Cavs team from the 2016 or whatever, they all have a group chat. They all talk in it. They all love K Love. He's one of the best teammates to have, so I don't mind him being there for a locker room piece, but he doesn't need to be out on the floor. Same with DeAndre Jordan. I mean, yeah, he had an all right game the other day, but as you said, 4 months of rest. That's not going to happen all the time. He's not going to go out and get 15 boards at this point, so I respect that list.
A lot of these guys, 1 foot in the grave. And then there's LeBron, who might just continue to play for 3 more seasons if he sees fit. Thank you. We're going to come back with college basketball as we look towards March Madness with our 5 best contenders in the nation. That's up next on Last Call. I can feel it in my bones. It's on the way. The best time of the sports year. It's March Madness, soon to be at a city near you. I'm Caden, that's Jake, and we are fresh off of a huge game between Michigan and Duke. That's number 3 and number 1. And this one was a great game. 2 teams that we're probably going to see late into March, Jake.
Well, the way that they did this is the first time that 2 non-conference teams ranked in the top 5 have played this late in the season, obviously because most of the games are going to be conference games, but this game was meant to emulate a Final Four game. They played on a neutral site. They played with a different ball. The schools usually will play with whatever branded ball they are, so if they're a Nike school, they'll play with a Nike ball. Here they're playing with the NCAA tournament ball, which is just helping them further get prepared. This was meant to emulate a Final Four, so you had Duke versus Michigan, and then you had Arizona versus Houston. That was kind of the idea of this weekend, was you get kind of a sight of what you're going to see in the Final Four, and you're going to see in my top 5. I'm going to have obviously all 4 of those teams I just mentioned, but this game was huge because Michigan did what Michigan does. They got off to a really good start in that one, but Duke didn't step back. Duke came back fighting, and they won that in the second half. I was very proud of how Duke performed without Cameron Boozer in the second half. He had 4 fouls at one point, had to sit at about the 8-minute mark, missed 6 big minutes, but they were able to lock down Elliot Cadeau. He didn't really do anything. In the second half, Yaxel Lindenborg, he had, I think, 5 points in the second half. He had 16 in the first half. So they tore him up in the first half. Duke got settled in, made the adjustments at halftime, and that's why you're going to see them at the top of my list. I have Duke as the number 1 contender this year. I just felt like they have the strongest resume. They beat 24 Kansas, 22 Arkansas, 15 Florida, 7 Michigan, number 20 Louisville twice, number 24 SMU, number 20 Clemson, and finally number 1 Michigan. Their 2 losses come to 19 Texas Tech, who I think is a very, very good team, and North Carolina. That's a rivalry game. A little bit understandable. They lost on a buzzer beater there, but John Shire has absolutely led this squad to a position where they are no doubt in my mind the favorite to win this year. Absolutely no doubt, and this weekend just cemented that.
I'm not so willing to say that they're the no doubt favorite, but Duke, very, very good. Obviously very, very good. Michigan was very, very good until they ran into Duke on that neutral floor. I love how they did that this year. I love how we see that. I think there is a realistic chance that we see just those 4 teams at same exact spot, or at least a similar one at that. Jake, you and I both have a top 5 in terms of teams that we look to see hold up the trophy come the end of March into early April. Let's start with your 5.
Let's do it. Let's pop them up there. We're going to go ahead and start with number 1 because I think the order of interest is as it is. And you'll see down at the bottom that team. But Duke at number 1, obviously for the reasons that I just mentioned. I have Arizona at number 2. They just won a big game. They're missing Koa Pete, and I feel like they get him back. They're just taking that to the next level. I love what Tommy Lloyd has put together there at Arizona. Great program, great team. They're a team that does the absolute opposite of what every team in college basketball is doing right now. Every team is out launching threes. This team only shoots about 15 threes per game. They're hitting about 6 of those. That's over a little bit under 50%, but that's what they need. They go to the basket. They get a lot of their buckets in the paint. They're getting sometimes 50-plus points in the paint, which is absolutely insane for a Division I team. So you look at them. They beat top 5 teams. They beat number 3 Florida, number 3 UConn. They beat Alabama, BYU twice, and they just beat Houston. Very strong contender. I still think Duke is a little bit better. You're going to see number 3 at Michigan. I don't know that some people are going to agree with this simply based off the resume. Let me read you these couple of stats that I found before the show today. Michigan has won 7 games by 40-plus points. They've won 12 by 30 or more points. That's about half of the games they've played this year. They've won by 30 or more points. Their losses, though, come to a non-ranked Wisconsin team that I think is a lot better than people are giving them credit for, and then Duke, as we saw it. So their resume is built on their big wins, and their losses, not really all that bad. They don't have too many of them either. And I think the big thing with them is their size. Their top 3 guys, 6'9", 6'9", and 7'3". Ade Mara is a baller. He's not going to be Jokic. He can't pass as well, but he can rebound, he can score, and he's getting the passing. That is the next thing, and that's what's going to take Michigan to the next level. 4, you see Houston, Kelvin Sampson, great, really good coach. I mean, he puts together a great program every single year.
Every single year.
Kingston Flemings, I mean, he is going to be a top 10 draft pick. I have absolutely no doubt about it. Emmanuel Sharp, he is exactly who you want to have the ball in the last 2 minutes of the game. And they'll give it to him. They'll give him the space. He'll go one-on-one, step back 3. Doesn't matter. Houston, though, they do have a couple of losses. The one to Tennessee is the one that I'm looking at. That one. It's got a question in my mind because I don't think Tennessee is that good. Nate Ament just now kind of picking things up for Tennessee, so I'm not exactly sure why they lost that game earlier. Had to go rewatch it. And then my number 5, this is my wild card, Todd Golden. Oh, my goodness, this Florida team is slept on.
Florida.
They are slept on because of how bad they did in non-conference play, but you got to look at who they played. They played some of the best teams in the nation. They played number 4 Duke at the time, number 5 UConn. They do have 2 bad losses, though, unranked Missouri and unranked Auburn. I will say, though, those 2 teams are floating around the bubble. They're potential tournament teams, so it's not as bad as it looks. They're led by 6 different guys scoring over 10 points per game. This Florida team is tournament built. They have the experience from last year. I would not be surprised to watch them make another run at it.
All right. I wouldn't be surprised either. I like your list. There's a lot of star power up and down this list. I think if we look at mine, you're probably going to scream at me. But that's okay. That's what we're here for. We're at Iowa State, number 1. Iowa State's won some big games this year.
Also
they just beat number 2 Houston. They just beat number 9 Kansas. Remember, they knocked off number 1 Purdue way back early on in the season. Now Purdue, they're not number 1 no more. I know. But this team, top 15 in adjusted offense, top 5 adjusted defense. A lot of these teams that you're going to see on my list are good defensive teams because when you get into March, you're not playing the same game. You're just not. You're not going to see scores of 80-plus on a lot of these games. So what you need to be able to do, you need to be able to play defense, need to be able to win scrappy games, and you need to be able to hit the timely 3.
Then how is UConn up there? UConn has not played defense for a month straight. Dan Hurley was just on a raging fit about how they're not playing defense right now. And then on top of that, Michigan has been one of the best defensive. They're beating teams by 30 points per game. That's not just offense.
Big Ten don't have the juice this year. Big Ten, I can't trust any team come out of the Big Ten right now. Look, they're at 5. I think they're a good team. I think that they're a great regular season team. But I also don't know if Michigan is going to go play Duke and win by 40. It's not going to happen. They're not going to win the second-round game by 30 points. And playing games like that, you can only gain so much. You can only learn so much. Your team only gets so much better. I haven't seen this Michigan team try the way that we've seen a Houston try this year, or even a Duke played a lot of close games this year. So I think that experience through the course of the season, especially through the second half of the year, matters a lot. So we go from Iowa State, we go to Duke. Only reason Duke is not number one, and I think that they made a great statement with Cameron Boozer sitting out in the last contest. I don't know if players win national championships, especially guys that are 1 year in and then to the NBA, like we're going to see Boozer do. I just don't think that that's a very efficient system. I think that Coach Cal can tell you that. At Kentucky, and we're not going to see a lot more of him this year as we usually do. Houston, for them, I like what they do on both sides of the ball. I think they always have to be in the top 5 every single year. They're always a 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed at the worst. UConn is just up there because they're UConn. And you mentioned why, how. You mentioned Dan Hurley. I think Dan Hurley still is a top 5 coach in college basketball. I think that they have guys that can do it on any given night. And 1 through 5, they have guys that can do it any given night. I think it may not be the headliner to win every single game, but I think that you have a deep enough roster to go and win it through a different player each and every night.
My reason for leaving Iowa State out is just the steps back that they've taken. They lost to Cincinnati. They lost to TCU, 2 unranked squads. Those are 2 bad losses that I feel like could easily happen in postseason play. That second round comes around. If they're a 2 seed, they would end up having to play the 4 seed, the 4-5, I think, the winner of that game. So I just see them having a tough time making it out of whatever region they're in. They're going to have to beat another big power team, and they're 50-50 in those games. That's why I wouldn't throw them at the number 1. But the rest of it, I'm all right with. I think the only thing I don't like is UConn. I feel like they have kind of
They're not the same team.
They stepped away from the pack of contenders, I feel like. They can easily make a run due to coaching. I feel like Braylon Mullins, if he can pull together a stretch where he's able to play like 8 games in a row, that's one of the biggest issues. He's dealt with quite a bit of injury, so they've been in and out of the lineup. It's not a Darren Peterson situation, but I do wonder how that affects things. I love Houston, like you said, both sides of the basketball, they get things done. This is the first year that I think that we are going to have about 10 teams that we could consider contenders in the entirety. There's teams that can get hot, like Arkansas. Arkansas, Darius Acuff had 49 points the other day. Arkansas is a team that can get hot. Kansas, if they figure out whatever they've got going on with Darren Peterson, they can get hot. BYU, Rob Wright, AJ DeBonsa, they can get hot. Nate Mintz figuring things out over there in Knoxville. They can get things figured out. There are so many teams this year. Shoot, I'll even throw one to Purdue. Matt Painter could turn things around, get things going in the right direction. Purdue could surprise people. There are so many good teams this year, and maybe it's because of NIL. Maybe it's because you're wanting to kind of build up a couple of teams and you're finally putting together a lot of talent. One of the issues that Kentucky always had with Coach Cal is they would get one of the best players, one of the top 5 guys, but that would make the other 4 not want to go there. Duke has found a way to get 4 of the top 3 or 4 of the top 10 players over the last 2 years, and they've been able to. Cooper Flagg obviously took them very far. I think this is the year they take that step up. There was the Zion year, couldn't make it over the hump. Cooper Flagg couldn't make it over. This is the year right here. Cameron Boozer takes them to that next level. This is John Shire and the Duke Blue Devils year to win the championship.
All right, take a dart, throw it at the board. You might just hit a national champion. This is last call, and we're going to run straight into the Division II level now, where we're talking Indianapolis basketball off of another big win. They've won 4 in a row now to this point. Greyhounds red hot. They're playing the best. They're beating the best. Lewis not necessarily a blue blood in terms of the GLVC, but
it is what you would consider a rival, so to speak. The Greyhounds in that contest or in that series, if you want to call it, they're 23-25 now, still a losing record against Lewis. That's the team they played the most out of anybody in the GLVC, so it means a little bit, but as you said, Lewis, they're rebuilding this year. They lost everybody to Division I schools, and they even lost their head coach who had coached multiple different Division I talents as well as GLVC all first teamers. So Lewis will step aside from that.
And somebody missed on Rob Stroud. You know, while we're talking about Lewis, Rob Stroud's up at Green Bay, and he's not getting the playing time that he needs, Jake. I know that you're with me on this.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it, and I saw something the other day where Green Bay's, or well, I'm sure everybody saw that because it got blown up pretty big, but he was the one getting mad, hitting his fist on the table, saying he wasn't being demonstrative. That was Green Bay's coach, and I was just sitting there and like, this wouldn't happen if you played Rob Stroud. We know. We know, but
if nobody else knows, we know. But talking Greyhound basketball, they're nearing the end of their season. They have Truman and Quincy up next. They've already clinched. And to this point, Jake, you've already beat nearly everybody you would need to beat in the tournament to go win it all. That's the question. We're asking year after year, is this the year?
Well, it feels like the past 2 years that not last year, our first 2 years, it seemed as though the Greyhounds were the top dog. Everybody was looking to knock them off. And so when I look at that, I'm like, okay, Greyhounds had a target on their back. They got knocked down. This year, I think they're the one putting the target on somebody's back, and it was UIS for a little bit. They took them down in both their matchups this year. They beat McKendree in both of their matchups. I mean, Greyhounds came out and won a lot of big games this year, and as you said, beat everybody. The only team they did not beat that they would need to is Upper Iowa. I guess maybe Missouri St. Louis that you're going to see on this part of the graphic down below me right there. So of those 8 teams, you've only lost to 3 of them. You lost to William Jewell. I'd say that's really the other team that scares me a little bit. Justice Sutton, he's a baller. But
GLVC Player of the Week as well.
UMSL shut them down, beat them by 30. Beat them by 30 points. UMSL's
a scary team.
Exactly. That's why we talk about it not on the air all the time, but this is a conference where anybody can win it. The Greyhounds were the 1 seed. They lost to the 8 seed my freshman year. It can happen at any point, any time. The worst team can beat the best team. We've actually seen it multiple times. Lincoln has won a couple big games. They beat Upper Iowa. You never know what's going to happen in the GLVC. But to answer your question, Caden, I think the answer is yes. I think the Greyhounds have a great chance to make it. We talk about that 4-5 game being almost special in the GLVC tournament. We can watch these highlights real quick. It was an electric game, but we talk about that 4-5 seed. So coveted because you get to play basically an evenly matched game, and then you go on to take number 1. And getting them in the second round is almost like a sucker punch, I feel like. Last year it was Lincoln who lost in the second round. Missouri S&T who lost to Lincoln in the second round. It's just all around a perfect time for the Greyhounds to be playing their best basketball, and that's something Coach Hetty would tell you. He feels as though they have reached a point, they're playing their best defense, they're getting to the basket, they're getting the looks that they want, and their best player is playing exactly as he should. Carmelo Harris shooting the ball phenomenally, shooting well from the free throw line, as is the entire team. There's a game not too long ago, they were 20 for 22 from the free throw line, doing everything they need to do to win a conference championship.
A team that's consistently getting better. We look at number 1 in the conference, it's Rockhurst. They've won 9 straight. Their last loss coming to Indianapolis. In Indianapolis, remembering that game, talking about Carmelo Harris, had another great one, but it was Ethan Edwards that shot 6 for 8 that night, had 15. Rockhurst is a team that you don't want to run into, but if you do, you have some receipts.
It's because you look at that game and I look at it as that was the worst shooting game for Jordan Dinkins of the season. He had his worst game, still had 20 points.
I said it last week. Carmelo Harris is the most underrated defender in the GLVC. He's had that matchup a few times, and we looked to even a few games ago.
Jordan Rice locked him down.
Jordan Rice for Illinois Springfield. Shot, 4 for 14?
Yeah.
Drennan Dinkins, I was just looking at it, shot 6 for 18. He ended up with great scoring, but that's because he got to the free throw line time and time again.
And I talk about that. He's probably going to go out and get his 20 points any given night. Him and Jalen Wesley. They're going to combine for 40-plus almost every single night. It's just how efficient are they in doing so? If Drennan Dinkins is shooting above 50%, you could almost write it down as a win at that point. Jalen Wesley gets to the basket, As soon as the defense starts worrying about him, they'll send a double team or they'll leave him alone and he'll score. But if they send that double team, it takes away from the backside help defense and they throw it to the opposite corner. Rockhurst moves the ball very well, and that's why their best players are able to score. They can do it off the dribble, but they also spot up and get great passes, something the Greyhounds have been doing well as of recently, getting the shooters the ball in the breadbasket, so to speak. I think Rockhurst and William Jewell are the two teams you do not want to play if you're a Greyhound. Other than that, it's fair game.
Bring it. Roll Hounds. That's your look at Division II basketball and the University of Indianapolis. Now time to hop into the Primetime Pick Em. We have 5 games on our slate. Jake and I going to pick a winner. And come graduation, May 2nd, somebody's going to have a crown, the belt. They'll be the winner. First game, Spurs going to Detroit, playing the Pistons. You know, I'm a big Cade guy. I'm a big Pistons guy. They're at home, number 1 in the East, going to take this one.
Yeah, I definitely owe you an apology after that one. I went and watched a little bit of Cade Cunningham, watched him drop 40 points in Madison Square Garden.
He's nice.
Yeah.
Cade
Sorry,
is
Giannis.
nice.
Giannis, you're going to have to do something, but maybe next year. I think Cade might be the best player in the NBA right now, just off of what I saw of Madison Square
That's
Garden.
not crazy. That's not crazy.
There are other people saying that right now. There are other talking heads in sports saying Cade Cunningham might be the front runner for MVP. I don't think it's crazy to say. I will go with the Pistons at home. They have the best record in the NBA now, which I think they're going to try to hang on to a little bit. This game against another top team means a little bit more. Not as much as that Knicks game, but I will go with Pistons once again.
Celtics at Suns. Cross-conference matchup. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Boston. I got burned on it last time. I don't know why I picked them. I sit here and talk crap about the Lakers for like 2 weeks straight and then pick them on Primetime Pick Em. They got torched because LeBron didn't play defense. Peyton Pritchard, he had like 30 points last night. What are we doing? All right, I'm going with the Celtics.
You know, I'm playing catch-up at this point in the race. So, you know, you can't pick the favorite every time. Can't pick the favorite every time. We're going Phoenix at home. Mark it down. Cavs at home playing New York. The Knicks, Jalen Brunson.
Man, I do not know. The Cavs just lost. But the Knicks, they have to do something. The Knicks just got punked, absolutely punked by the Pistons. I mean, they came into their home floor. New Yorkers are almost done being Knicks fans at this point. Yeah. I mean, they are tired of it, and it's not going to get any better. Give me the Cavs.
I like the Knicks because I don't think that the Cavs have the backcourt to guard Jalen Brunson. I don't think they have the matchup, and Mitchell Robinson is able to pick up any lack of size
Evan
or control
Mobley
the
is
rebound.
going to send his shot into the 18th
He's not
row.
going to shoot it. Mitchell Robinson's going to have 11 offensive rebounds.
Not over them. Not over him and Jared Allen.
That is one of the best front courts in the league, though, in the Cavaliers. And James Harden is still good. If you weren't watching, James Harden can still shoot the basketball, and he can still score. That's for sure. That's another pickup for me. We're heading to the Eastern Conference, going to Philly. Heat are playing the Sixers.
I hate the 76ers, dude. I said it on here that I was going to get burned, and then I got burned. Absolutely toasted. They won by 20. Ant was playing, too. What? Tyrese Maxey, very good player. I'm going to go with the 76ers. Sorry for doubting you guys.
I will as well. I like what the 76ers are building, and while it probably isn't going to be their year this year, their year is not as far as some
They also
might
got
think.
VJ Edgecombe. I keep forgetting about him. He's a
nice.
baller. They got a young
everything.
squad.
Lakers and Warriors, that's our last game. That'll be the nightcap. We're in Golden State with the Lakers playing the Warriors, who aren't what they once were.
I will say, Steph Curry didn't play and they won. That gives me confidence. At home, give me the Warriors.
There's another pickup. Lakers on the road, not a far travel at all. It's a Saturday. It'll be prime time. LeBron's going to play. I like
Probably
that.
not. He played 2 games last week. I think he has to sit for 2 months now.
He might just have to. Let's look at our records. I picked up a game from last week.
Will say, yeah, you might notice that's a little different. We did catch the mistake that Caden had one more game than I did, so we fixed that. 2 games ahead, though, still. We went 3-2. I don't know if we have the games from last week. We both went 3-2, though. I knew that the Pistons were going to win, and I knew that the 76ers were probably going to burn me. Should have went with my gut is all I'm going to say. You'll see, 30-point win. This one, hate it. Should have went with the, I don't know why I did that. And then shout out to the Pacers for learning how to lose. I love that.
Shout out the blue and gold. Maybe we can just pick up some Peterson in the draft this year. Who knows?
Yeah, he might fall all the way out of the top 10 now. We might be able to get him with a second-round pick.
This has been Last Call. Be back next week at 6.